Welcome back to Blackpool for the Embassy Whirlpool Championships of 2003. Well, coming up in a couple of moments' time, a match which will complete the semi-final lineup. It's the last quarter-final between two players who have never been this far in the tournament before. Let's just recap on what's happened in the previous quarter-finals. The reigning champion, Jason Twist, looking to create history by retaining his title. A very good win over Gareth Potts, 9-6. Phil Harrison, very solid over James Feely, coming through 9-3. And then possibly the best 8-ball pool we've ever seen from Chris Mellin, defeating Keith Brewer 9-3. And tonight, it's the Australian ALEC Evreniadis against the Scotsman, Steve Munro, for that last semi-final place. Well, I'm delighted to say that the new look Lisa Quick has joined us in the studio this evening, former ladies world champion. Nice hair, Lisa.
Oh, thanks.
Brunette yesterday, blonde today.
Yeah, my England captain, it's all her fault.
Oh, it is, right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're in the final of the ladies in a couple of days' time. How's the ladies' game at the moment? Is it going from strength to strength?
Yeah, I mean, I started in '99, was my first year here, and every year it's getting better and better. You know, all the players in England, we've always been strong. But certainly the players from abroad that are coming over, the South Africans, the Australians, the French, you know, there's some really top players coming in, and every year's harder.
Fair to say that yourself and Sue Thompson, you have dominated the game for the last couple of years. I mean, will we see a lady from Australia or South Africa win it in years to come?
Definitely, I don't see why not. There's no reason for it not to be. The only thing, the advantage we have is we play maybe more competitive pool against higher players, top players. But the more they can play, you know, the better it will be for them.
I've got to mention the sex thing. I'll be very careful here. Annika Summerström in the golf, she did extremely well against the men. Is there any reason why you can't go out and compete against the men? No,
it was an interesting thing with the golf. I was quite interested in that. I read it in the papers and everything. I think a lot of sports do need that kind of thing where we can get involved with the men. And I think it is a matter of time, really.
OK. Quick prediction tonight, Alec or Steve?
I think it could go all the way.
Do you sit on the fence?
Yeah, I think I'd possibly go Steve Munro on current form. He looks tidy, very tidy at the moment. OK, well, we'll have to wait and see whether you're right. Let's just take a look at the players' profiles. Well, this man is a real character, all the way from Australia. He's been trying to qualify for the televised stages for the last 9 years. He's finally done it. His dream has come true. And on the way, he beat a former world champion, Carl Morris. But mind you, it's probably cost him something in the region of $40,000 to get this far. He's up against a Scotsman, Steve Munro. Once again, it's his first time in the quarter-finals. A very, very tough competitor. Along the way, he defeated the Frenchman Selin by 8 frames to 0, and also a great win over his bogeyman, Lee Kendall, 8-5. So this, for a place in the semi-finals, it promises to be a real pressure-packed match. I'll hand you over to our MC, Mr. Alan Hughes.
Thank you, Mark, and let's welcome the players. The surprise of the tournament, an exciting young star now showing his full potential against an Australian who has travelled so many miles, so many times to achieve a lifelong ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome together Stephen Munro and ALEC Evreniadis.
ALEC Evreniadis, as Mark was saying, in our studio, has been over here 9 times, 40,000 Australian dollars. Well, that's in total with all those 9 trips.
Steve Munro to break.
But he's finally through to the televised stages of the singles event. And the roadblock in his path through to the semi-finals comes in the form of this man, Steve Munro. It's a best of 17. This, our last quarterfinal match. And Steve Munro has just broken off, and along with my compatriot, Tony Holgate, we're joined by a very unfamiliar face. Well, unfamiliar in the commentary box, but certainly very familiar out there on center stage as we again see Steve Munro's break-off. Tracy James, and she is a rookie referee. She's been out here refereeing these final stages here. And Tracy, great to have you in the commentary box. You've got the best seat in the house here.
Thanks very much there. It's definitely a front row seat, and I can say it's different. I'm normally looking at the table from a different angle. This is going to be something new for me.
We'll have you critique Melvin Hartley out there this evening. Anyway, ALEC Evreniadis, Tony, a little bit of money wagered on this match. A few of the Aussies put a few pounds on their boy here, and a little added pressure, but this is going to be a very tough one to call, isn't it?
That's right, Jim. ALEC Evreniadis, he's got the weight of Australia on his back. I can tell you, there's one local bookmaker around here who stands to lose a lot of money on this man. Great shot there from Alex. Yeah, like you said, 9 years he's been trying to get the quarterfinals. He's been captain of Australia for a number of times. Great bloke, and I'm so pleased he has finally made it into the last 8.
Well, these reds very nicely situated for Alec to complete the first frame win with a clearance.
The thing with Alex is he has played in the world team semi-finals. He's not a complete stranger to the big table and the TV lighting.
In fact, I was talking to Alec in the practice room, about an hour and a half or so ago, and he said that in Australia they play on a larger table anyway, about 3.5 by 7 were the measurements he quoted me, but he said it's a larger 3.5 by 7 because it goes to the edge of the cushion, so he figured that this table might only be a few inches larger than what he's really accustomed to playing on. Won't be near as big a handicap, Tony, as with a lot of the players.
That's right, Jim. And this is a great start for Alec. He's got to draw this cue ball back now for the 8 ball. And this will set the house alight, especially with all the Aussies that have come to watch him. There's that many out there. I think they said the last one could please turn the light off.
Well, Tracy, we are going to talk to you a little later about the ladies' game. I know that you're very up on the ladies' game, and we've got Lisa Quick as a studio guest. And there you can see the 8 right into the heart of the corner pocket. Alec Evreniadis opens accounts here in this quarterfinal. 1-0 over Steve Munro. A dream start for the Aussie. All set to break now. Frame 2 of a possible 17. Evreniadis crashes into them with his break cue. A cue that he uses in 9-ball as well, but no friends on this occasion.
Didn't make a great connection with the pack there, and we'll have another look at it. If you see, it came off the side of the front ball, hence the cue ball shooting into the rail. I'll tell you what, the yellows look very inviting for Steve Munro. Steve Munro was actually took part in the World Junior Championships back in 1993.
Yellow ball's in play.
You can see he's lost a couple of hairs on his head since then. He will forgive me for saying that anyway. He's a good lad, is Steve. But yeah, he's been around a long time. He's played on the TV tournaments before, but first time in the quarters of the World Championships.
Well, Tracy, it'd be very remiss for me not to ask you. You had the good fortune, or well, I should say good fortune, maybe misfortune from a referee's perspective of doing the Chris Melling quarterfinal. You must have had your rollerblades on for that match.
If Chris had intended to be playing speed pool, I think he did a good job of it today. He definitely kept me on my toes running around the table today.
Yes, Chris Melling, a 9-3 winner in one of our earlier quarterfinals, but that's the fastest I've ever seen anybody play. And there's Chris over on the left in the dark top, taking it easy right now. And the winner of this match, in fact, he might be on a scouting mission. The winner here will have the enviable task of facing Mr. Melling. So, but that had to be an adventure, Tracy, didn't it, for you?
Indeed. Definitely this level is a first time for me, and it was amazing pool to watch. Definitely at that speed as well. I wish Mr. Melling all the best, and for whoever wins this match, it should be a good match to watch between them.
Had to make sure not to touch that red, and as he lost the cue ball here.
Very John Travolta-esque there was Steve Munro as he leant towards that yellow ball. He's having a little look to see if he can get past. So we look at the last yellow and a bit of night fever there. But can he get through? This is the main thing. So he huffs and puffs. I'm not sure he can, Jim, do you know?
It's very difficult to tell. He's having a good look at it.
30 seconds.
Well, there you can see that that yellow does not pass the red into the bottom corner pocket. He's going to have to go onto the ball on the side rail. And that one's in. He's played that very well indeed. Now he's going to pop the yellow in the centre of the table in left-hand middle. Draw the cue ball back for the last yellow into the other centre pocket. And black will be following in the same spot. Well, both players have come out the traps 100 mile an hour, Jim.
This is solid stuff. No errors whatsoever from either player, firing rockets at each other. And the simple 8 to square things up here. It's a race to 9. 1-1 Munro versus Evreniadis. Heating up here in Blackpool in what promises to be a photo finish. As Steve Munro gets set now. Frame 3. Deadlocked, 1 apiece. No friends on his first break. Got one here. 2 reds, in fact.
That was a very good split there for Steve Munro. Not renowned as a player who's got a powerful break, but obviously spent a lot of work on it.
Yes, he can be very indecisive. That's the one trademark that a few of the players I spoke to about Steve had mentioned. They said sometimes it takes him a while to make his mind up, but once he gets going,
30 seconds.
He goes through them very consistently and methodically.
Well, I'm very surprised he's took yellows. I would have definitely took reds there, Jim. I know the 8 ball's probably fairly tough, but those 2 yellows on the top side rail would swing me in the direction of reds, I'm afraid.
Well, yellow's in play. And certainly those 2 are going to be cause for concern at some stage for Steve Munro.
And there you see Munro opting for the tactical battle.
Red ball's in play.
That's more his game. So to take yellows, cover that bottom corner. And leave Alex to try and deal with his reds that way.
Again, never intended to pocket this. That was strictly cover.
Again, I have to say, if you'd have took the reds, pot the long red first off, it had a pretty easy finish.
Now, how well do you know Alec's game, Tony? Would this be something that would favor him, or?
Well, Alex, one of the players that can pretty much play a good tactical game, and he can pot. So I think if Munro messes around too much with Alec, can end up on a receiving end of a bit of a beating off him, in fairness. Carl Morris tried it a couple of rounds ago. He tried to play he started off trying to outpot Alec, and Alec was playing well and got the better of those exchanges. Then Carl clammed up, and Alec had him again, you know.
Yeah, big win that one for Alec over Carl Morris. Carl Morris has performed so well over the years here in Blackpool. Relishes this event. Well, he's got a little angle on the yellow to the bottom left. I wonder if he might elect to take the cue ball into those 2 yellows he's looking at right now and try and mature them into a more potable position.
You see, if Steve Munro's going to attack these yellows now, he might as well attack the reds in the first place. He's had a good go at getting them out, but they're not come very inviting for him. And there we see it once again. So he hits both those yellows, but leaves them in the same spot pretty much.
Would have had to have been pretty fortunate to dislodge them, in fairness, Tony, and land on one ideally. I would have been asking a lot. What a shot that was. That has to be worth another look, that one. Check this out. Not only did he pocket the yellow in the double, but he's cleared his other 2 awkward ones. And with one more good pot, could be in prime position to snatch this frame right away from ALEC Evreniadis.
I'll just look at to see where he wants to leave the cue ball for that.
30 seconds.
Further towards the top cushion. Not easy because he's got slightly the wrong angle on this yellow down into the corner. And that'll drop in. 2B table. Very inviting pockets.
Yeah, that just makes up for the nerves that, you know, these players have to be subjected to. All the pressure of the biggest event in the world on both of their shoulders right now. Tracy, I've noticed that we haven't seen our referee, Melvin Hurley, at all there. And, I mean, that's something that you concentrate on as an official, don't you? You try and stay out of vision.
Indeed, you actually don't want to get in the player's way at all. There we go. There he is. Hello, Mal. You don't want to get in the player's way at all. You want to just be able to see the shot, make sure it goes off smoothly, and let them know who's playing what.
The sign of a good referee is one that is never even noticed.
Seconds.
Well, that cue ball is going to be very near that side cushion for ideal cueing. This 8 for a 2-1 lead. A solid finish from the Scot, Steve Munro, bidding for a place in the semifinals. He now leads the Aussie, ALEC Evreniadis, 2 frames to 1. ALEC Evreniadis all set to crack into them now. Frame 4. And no friends. The balls are starting to turn on him.
That's right, Jim. The break's starting to be Alec's enemy at the moment. We'll have another look at it. Again, it's a good split. Plenty of power. Just very unfortunate not to get a ball. But hands the table straight to Steve Munro.
The break can be such a weapon.
Yellow ball's in play.
When it's working for you, but by the same token, if it isn't, it can be an ally to your opponent. Yellow's in play for Steve Munro. And he hasn't played that ideally. Not landed in prime position on the yellows. And you can see they're all potable. It's just a matter of getting that cue ball into the position with which to attack them. He's just tucked that waistcoat in because he doesn't want it dragging over that yellow. It's not a long ways away. Even though he looks nervy and he's got all these nervous mannerisms at the table, he's given us no indication from his shot making. He hasn't missed anything. Another look at it. You can see the arm again out waving.
Used to be a cricket umpire a few years ago, didn't he? Mr. Munro. Just gave another wide. A tough ball up into the top left-hand corner. At some stage here for Steve Munro, I think you should really be attempting it in his next shot and then coming back down the table for the other two. Played a very good shot there with check side. Pinging the cue ball down to the bottom of the table to hold for his yellow ball, but again he's still going to have to play this one on the rail at the top. It's not going to go away from him, it's still going to be there in a minute.
Slightly hampered cueing over that red tone. Big shot here, just wants to try and run through, it looks like, for the yellow to the center pocket that he's showing you. If he doesn't go far enough, he's not going to be able to get that cue ball up towards the 8. And that was a kick. You can hear it and you can see it in his reaction. A bad contact on that yellow.
Watch the cue ball lift here as it strikes the yellow. There you see it jump in the air, and that takes the pace out. He played it with a lot of topspin.
Time running.
And now, even should he get this yellow, he's going to have to make a much longer black than he would have liked.
Looking at that there, it's not disastrous for Stephen Munro. Just going to roll this in now, bringing the cue ball towards these two reds you can see right in front of you on that rail. And now he's got the long 8 ball into the bottom left-hand corner as he walks around to have a view from the bottom angle. Just composing himself. Can be an edgy moment.
Ice water in his veins. Steve Munro looking rock solid out there. The major quarterfinal, his first appearance in the singles, and he's doing the business. 3-1 now. He leads ALEC Evreniadis, and he's won the last 3 in a row. Steve Munro obviously happy with the rack. 3-1 in front. He's happy with proceedings. Ball down. And already you can hear all the supporting cast trying to exhort him on. Another look at this break off.
Yellow ball's in play.
Yellow's the ball of choice here. Tracy, the team from South Africa, came over and didn't fare too badly. And has pool really taken an upswing back home?
It definitely has. It gets televised over at home. It's not quite as big as it is here at the moment. There's some of our teammates. It is definitely taken off. The ladies' pool is definitely growing. Our under-18 pool is growing. Our juniors have been at this tournament as well and have performed really well, which is good for South Africa as well, and we certainly hope it's going to grow bigger and bigger as it goes.
Well, it's got to help them to have a top-flight official like yourself overseeing things. At least they will see no intimidation when they come over here.
I know that South Africans have had a good side now for a couple of years. They made the semi-finals of the team last year. And I can tell you from an Irish point of view, we had a real tussle with them in the team tournament. But back to Stephen Munro at the moment, and it's all been about Stephen Munro's break and lack of break from ALEC Evreniadis.
That has been the difference. He lost the first frame and has manufactured 3 since. And it's looking a lot like it's going to be 4. And he's got his tail up, Tony, doesn't he?
That's a superb shot there. Loads of confidence to play that shot. And a player that's not confident would never dream of trying to screw the cue ball between those two reds. But this is some stuff from Stephen Munro.
This for 4-1. And down it goes. The Stephen Munro juggernaut motors on. 4 in a row to lead ALEC Evreniadis 4-1. And doesn't he look pleased with himself? He's got to make headway into this deficit. And an ideal break, the order of the day.
Munro just about got out of his seat then and had to put himself back in reverse as that red double kiss into that corner pocket. You see, again, it's a good break from Alex. He's because dreadfully unlucky not to pot anything.
Well, this is going to be a real test of intestinal fortitude from ALEC Evreniadis. He's been parked in his chair for about the last 10 to 15 minutes. Hasn't had a look in at all, Tony, and to come out now and be expected to clear, as his mates from Australia are certainly hoping for him to do here, can't be easy.
I know he started off with a great finish in the opening frame, and like you said, Jim, parked his seat ever since, and there's the Australian contingent.
30 seconds.
A little bit of concern on their faces at the moment. A real good chance here for ALEC. Just that red at the bottom of the table below the black. The only slight problem on the table. There's a white finish in there. He get too close to his work. Limited now what you can do with a cue ball, Jim.
Yes, I'm just having a look at that red below the black, and it may be available bottom right. If it isn't a full pocket, certainly off the cushion, off the yellow and in. And this is going to be the key shot right here. He needs position to that last red, and you see it is in fact available. So one good positional shot from ALEC here. And Tony, it almost looks like he has to try avoid contacting anything here. Doesn't want to hit the black. Or that yellow. Disaster for ALEC Evreniadis. That was the problem. He had to avoid contacting any colors. This was never going to be easy, Tone, was it?
Well, he got a lot of pump into that one. He felt he could have just dragged the cue ball down between black and red and not really gone anywhere near that corner pocket, in fairness, Jim. Maybe a little bit of adrenaline.
So now Steve Munro already leading 4-1. Very tidy here.
Second visit.
Hanging over the pocket. Unbelievable. We both thought it was in, Jim, didn't we?
Well, I don't think he wanted to use his first visit so quickly. With the foul having been committed from ALEC Evreniadis, he'd like to have held that one off a little bit. Now, he's still got so many options, and that's what he's weighing up in his mind. Does he attack or defend? You can see taking the cue ball the left-hand side of the table as we look will leave ALEC absolutely nothing other than to just throw his cue at it, possibly even try and fluke that red. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Leave the cue ball over on the left-hand side.
As you can see, that will be a total snooker. And Tracy, the total snooker rule, what does that mean?
Total snooker pretty much means exactly what it says. You are snookered by playing your ball. You cannot cut it on both sides at all. He's going to need to come off a cushion or spin it out. However way he chooses to play it, he's going to need to make contact with that ball without hitting anything else first.
That's right, because normally if you don't pot a ball in a shot, you have to strike a cushion after contact. So the total snooker, in fact, it means you don't have to hit the cushion. That's right, Tracy.
Indeed, the ruling of a legal shot of touching the cushion after you've made contact, which he has very nicely done. He has had the cushion shot relaxed, being in a total snooker. He's only required to make contact with his ball.
Steve just showing you again, if he took the cue ball into that area, he was just placing his cue. The total snooker on. And he can dislodge this awkward yellow. Well, I don't know if he snookered him.
Well, there you can see he's got a clear path through to the red ball. And I'll tell you what, he'll be kicking himself about losing this one. He's let ALEC off the hook. How important could this frame be come the end of the match?
Well, ALEC Evreniadis gratefully accepts it. 4-2, he pulls one back, and when he committed that foul, he had probably given the frame up for lost. And look at Munro, smiling and chit-chatting with his supporters, but you know he's got to be churning inside. Well, Steve Munro certainly knows he can get back into it. He's still going to be very guarded and nothing down. Amazing how the balls remember. Munro was breaking so well, and a little bit of carelessness and negative play could prove so costly for him now. He had control of this match, and it's been wrested away from him by ALEC.
Isn't it amazing how the game swings? Munro's break has been fantastic throughout the match. Makes a silly mistake in the last one, all of a sudden the break deserts
Red ball's in play.
With both reds and yellows here nicely situated on the table. And Alex opted for the reds, and he's got no easy shot here.
Very good shot there from Alec. Covering the top left-hand corner.
Well, it certainly doesn't look like that yellow will pass that red into the pocket. This is going to be a telling frame, this one, as far as Steve Munro is concerned, too. Can he erase the memory of that last one that really was in his grasp?
Well, Steve Munro, for some reason, was trying to double that ball down the bottom of the table, but he seems to have lost the plot just for the moment. We see he's trying to get the yellow ball down towards the bottom left-hand corner, but never going to get over the pocket at that pace. And Alex says, well, thank you very much. I'll have that bag then. Well, if he gets another 3, Steve will be in a bit of trouble to start bouncing them over the balls into the pockets. Tell you what, if Alec teaches Stephen Munro a lesson of tactical play in this frame, maybe Stephen won't be tempted to cover the pockets anymore. And at the moment, the only person who knows how to cover a pocket properly is Evreniadis.
You just sense that this match has swung from that last frame where Munro looked to be in control and didn't take the initiative. All of a sudden, Evreniadis has said, well, if you don't want to win it, I'll take it.
Well, Alec played a bit of a ropey one there. I thought for a split second he was going to try and play the red onto the 8 ball and try and get the 8 ball near the bottom left-hand corner and take complete control of the frame. But he's opted to go for the finish, and by doing that, he's played the plant. He obviously want to play the plant, leave the second red over the bag, but it's not. So it is, and now that pocket's open. He's not really on anything easy.
30 seconds.
There you see Alec tying up the yellow at the bottom of the table, trying to get his reds in front. Stephen's balls.
Time out. It's not frozen. Time running.
He's covered that yellow at the bottom of the table, but he also has a loose one to the left of it, which Jim, if he does choose to go for the finish, he can also kick it back out again.
Well, he's just claimed ownership of that top right pocket. There certainly doesn't look to be any clear-cut finish in this.
Alec just contemplating now covering his bottom left-hand corner. Well, no. He's decided to go and attack. I think he's gonna play this way. He's got to get this red out now. Try and open the frame up and put Stephen Munro under pressure. He's got to be very careful. If he tries to bump the red out at the top right-hand side of the table, if that red cannons into any of those yellows, well, either of those 2 yellows at the top, first, the front yellow will sail into that corner pocket. It will give away the foul.
Seconds.
He played it very well. He managed to negotiate the red down to the bottom of the table.
Well, he's certainly thrown the gauntlet down now, though, Tony.
I think he's made the right decision. Instead of like trying to cover the pockets and sit there, I mean, at the end of the day, you could end up with stalemate the way they were going to play there. But Alex decided, okay, the yellows are pretty difficult, so I'm going to try and get my reds in the open and put you under pressure.
30 seconds.
And I don't think Stephen Munro wanted that little nudge.
He's just opened the red up. Again, a very negative thought. You know, he had a chance there. His yellows were in the open. It was just a matter of controlling the white. I know he tried to take that down and cover that pocket, but he was doing so well when he was just letting his cue arm go. And that hasn't helped Alec.
There you see the red will just creep past the black ball, get the other red into the corner, straight towards us. If he gets out, he can control the cue ball, take it up to the top of the table. He has a red for a bit of security up there.
30 seconds.
The greatest shot in the world there from the pool club owner from Adelaide.
Yes, worth another look. And what's worse for Alec is he's opened all the yellows. Now, Tony, bearing in mind that I'm not an expert at this game, to me it just seems like he could pocket this yellow here and drop, well, I was going to say draw back onto the difficult one that he's on now and go game. And that it looks to be exactly what Steve Munro is going to try. And he won't get a better chance than this.
Now you see the yellows pass into this corner pocket. So like you say, Jim, pretty plain sailing here. Should be now for Steve Munro. Both players have been making some mistakes in this frame. Just wonder if there's a final twist and a tail to the into this one.
Black only available bottom right in the two center pockets. You can see the red guards the bottom left as we look. Just wants to see the pattern with which to remove the yellows.
Just wondering if he'll take this one at the bottom now, bottom left-hand corner. Just drop it in the yellow nearest to the black ball, play that into the right-hand centre. I think that's his route, don't you, Jim?
Absolutely. If he was a little straighter on this yellow, and he's not taking our selected path to victory, Tony.
Well, he's going to play that yellow nearest to black last now.
That's where he wants to be. If he does try and get straightish on that yellow nearest the bottom left corner, just wants to be on that line that he was showing you with his cue. And that doesn't look all that ideal. But he
Bit
can
too much angle, Jim, isn't it?
Well, he's going to have to slow roll this, Tony. And you know something, when you're a little edgy and you're not cueing as sweetly as you would have liked, slow rolling balls can sometimes prove disastrous. Oh, that's struck sweet as a nut. And now yellow into the right center. He's got the Phil Harrison head shake.
Steve Munro clocking up the miles around the table, wearing out the carpet and his shoes. Doesn't matter. Bangs that yellow in without thinking about it. And the simplest of eights.
A good finish from Steve Munro. This frame very much in doubt in the outset, but in the end, Munro proves victorious, 5-2 in front of ALEC Evreniadis. Nothing down.
Open table.
Evreniadis again, the break deserting him. Just wonder when he's going to abandon the American break cue.
Well, there's a cluster of yellows and reds on the left-hand side that certainly are going to have to be developed. So yellow's the ball of choice for Steve Munro. And again, those two yellows nearest the bottom left corner. At some stage, he's going to have to try and maneuver those into the open. He's having a look at them right now. And Tony, he's shown us a couple terrific finishes in the early going. But it almost seems as though in the later stages, he's only taken the finish when he's really had no choice. And there you can see very aggressive shot from Steve Munro. And he got fortunate not to have left ALEC Evreniadis an easier starting red.
Well, this game's not looking like it's going to develop into anything quick. When a nip and tucks in plenty of 30-second calls. When you start rolling in gently between the balls and that. Not easy for the referees, it gives them a lot more to do. And Tracy, how do you find refereeing in a predominantly male-dominated sport?
It makes no difference. You're playing the game. You referee it at the same standard you would for the ladies as you would the juniors. The men's game of pool is a superb game to watch. The ladies is just as good.
And Tracy, I want you to tell Tony what you told me before we came in here, why you got started, not only playing the game, but why you wanted to be a referee. I actually like this story.
I think you're talking about the story I told you about. I got sick and tired of being the girlfriend on the bar stool. I demanded to be taught the game.
And wasn't happy losing by some twists in the rules, so decided she was going to be the one controlling the rules.
I like that. That is world class.
You might as well be the governor, eh, Tracy?
Control freak, I think, is what you would call it.
Well, you can see Steve Munro. He does have this long yellow. That he could play bottom left.
There's Munro. As he's nodding his head, acknowledging himself that he sees control of that bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, that's something you really love to see when you're sitting in the opposite chair, your opponent happy with his shot. That brings you to the table in a hurry.
Maybe just a bit of psychology creeping in there.
A little bit of poker playing, do you think, Tony?
Not sure about the poker, but I do think he's maybe trying to get to ALEC a little bit there with the nodding of the head.
You can see Alec's eyes darting backwards and forth. He knows that he's got to develop those balls on the left-hand cushion. The two reds there, very difficult.
Alec's not a player to get flustered. You can see he's always looks pretty cool and in control. I think Steve Munro wants to put all his last 6 yellows in the same pocket by the looks of this frame. Well, that was pretty much a nothing shot there from ALEC. I really don't know. I'm lost for words. I don't know what he's trying to do. Whether he's trying to pot it or double the red back to try and block some of those yellows. We're going to see Steve Munro maybe play the yellow that's nearest the centre pocket. If he can slide off that, he can maybe kick the yellow that's in between the two reds below it down the table.
Well, if he could ever play that shot, Tony, that would give him a chance to win the frame. It seems to me that when he establishes a lead, as he is now, 5-2 in front, he wants to make it slow and uphill as far as a comeback is concerned for ALEC Evreniadis.
30 seconds.
I don't think Alec's going to be attempting the pot here.
This sort of match, Tracy, is in stark contrast to what we saw in our earlier quarterfinal number 3 that involved Chris Melling and Keith Brewer. I mean, that might have been over by now. But having said that, from a referee's perspective, maintaining that focus and that level of concentration to keep an eye on things even when it does slow down, not always easy, is it?
I can't say it's easy at all. I think your level of concentration should be the same all the way through. It does help when the players play the kind of speed pool that Chris Melling played earlier. It does make the game more interesting. At this level, your concentration is very much on the slow ball, whether or not we're touching cushions after we've made contact. And definitely at this point when it becomes tactical, whether or not they start playing their opponent's ball is something else you've got to keep an eye out for.
Well, I wouldn't like to do your job, Tracy. I mean, if I stood out there, I'd be wanting to kick him by now.
Well, Tracy and Melvin, our referee out there right now, obviously flipped, and Tracy won the flip.
And there's Melvin Harley.
Haven't been noticed at all, and that's the best compliment you can pay any official, is when you don't even know that he's there or she's there.
30 seconds.
I actually went out for a few beers with Melvin Harley. I was playing an exhibition match in Birmingham and nobody noticed he was there then.
Now, in a case, I know in snooker, Tracy, and I come from a snooker upbringing, you know, a lot of times when nothing is being developed and a lot of negative shots are being played, a referee can offer a re-rack to the players. Can that happen here in 8-ball?
Absolutely not. The re-rack is not an option. They have to play the game, whether they choose to play it tactically as they're doing now. They have to play it, and if the fouls happen in between, as I said earlier, with potting the opponent's ball to get position on their own, they have to play the game through. Re-rack is definitely not an option under these circumstances.
Well, that's very interesting.
I think the only time I've ever seen a stalemate at an 8-ball pool was one situation we get the black right over the corner pocket, and there's one of each colour left, sat both on top of the black, and then you've got both players just firing the white into an empty space. They won't play the free ball because they're knocking the black in. That's right, Tracy, is it?
Indeed, the stalemate situation is invariably with the black in the pocket and one of each. Neither player is going to take the opportunity to try and play their ball out because the kiss will obviously knock the black in, losing the frame. And as you say, playing the ball into free space, it technically comes down to not making contact with your own ball or any ball for that matter for 3 consecutive shots each, which causes the stalemate, which is then a re-rack situation, and your same player is going to break.
.30 seconds.
ALEC Evreniadis is going to have to play the double across the table and try and get this red in there, and that is, I was just about to say what a great shot that was, and how unlucky was that the red drop behind the yellow. If that red had stayed there, that was probably the best shot of the entire match. Played that shot so well. And now he's given the 2 visits to Steve Munro.
Well, if he'd have finished on that difficult one that he was just pointing his cue to, he'd have been able to open the one just to the left of the white ball now, and with a chance to go game. The one that he's eyeing up right now is the difficult yellow. And so he elects to take it into the open, but he's not done a good job.
Well, he's wasted his first visit by opening up the yellow balls, but like you say, Jim, he's not letting himself anything easy. If he wants to attempt any of the yellows up the table, he's going to have to bridge over the yellow at the bottom, and he's also very close to that one at the bottom. You've got to be careful you don't play the push here. The double hit the white. He's going to just try and cover the pocket. And he's played it well.
But ALEC Evreniadis is back in with at least a glimmer of hope.
Aussies trying to rally their man. That's the arena there. Superb set we've got. It's Embassy World Championships. A very knowledgeable crowd. Thoroughly enjoying this quarter-final encounter. As Evreniadis goes about his business, but the problem is still there at the bottom of the table. The one red nearest the bottom left-hand corner. Could maybe go down the table and play a double because he's got one over the other pocket. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be a bad effort now.
I think you're going to see that shot right here. And if he just pulls the cue ball back.
Also has an angle on the red in the centre, but this is a tough call. I don't like those tight middle pockets. I'd rather play the double.
Draw the cue ball back about 8 to 10 inches, Tony, and if he gets this, he'll leave the one into the middle. And there you go. Look at this.
I'll tell you what, this will take the roof off if he gets this finish. Let's have a look at this shot again. Played this very well, gave himself every chance of potting the ball as well, playing it off the bottom rail first. Showing great composure from a man that 5-2 down. I was just about to say now, I've just cursed him. The curse of the commentator strikes again. Can you believe he's missed that?
I know he can't.
Well, Alec feels he doesn't like those middle pockets. Neither do I. They've cost me a few matches in my time. I think they should ban them. Just have 4 corner pockets, don't have middles. And let's play like that. 1 ball each and the black.
Well, that way you'd always be close, Tony.
Thanks, Jim. Munro. Going to play this yellow into the top right-hand corner. Bit of a shaky arm one.
Yeah, this could have been an awful lot easier, couldn't it? I mean, if he misses this, he's almost guaranteed to leave Alec Evreniadis a red.
This is frame ball.
Well, there's a sign of confidence. And you've got to tip your hat to that man right now. He didn't leave it easy. And this 8. And he'll be enjoying a 6-2 advantage.
This ball is not a gimme. I know it looks straight in the middle, but these middle jaws, they're quite tight. The corner pockets seem very big, but this TV table, the jaws, they seem to spring them back out again. It's got to be centre of the pocket and nice and slow.
And center of the pocket it was. Steve Munro has won the last 2 to reply to Alec Evreniadis, and he enjoys a 6-2 lead in the race to 9.
A bundle of nervous energy. He's very pleased with himself. Just needed 3 more frames for a place in the semi-finals. Can Evreniadis get back in this one?
I think he can. He was threatening to come back then, I think, and Steve just put a stop to it there with a good clearance. I don't think this match is over yet. I don't think Alex is the kind of sort of person to just fold. I think he can come back.
It's a fascinating encounter. The big question is, can Evreniadis get himself back in to this match?
Alex Evreniadis to break, trailing 7-2.
Frame 10. Yellow down.
Yellow ball.
Just needs a good finish now, Alex, just to get a bit of confidence back in him. At least the breaks work this time.
Yes, Alec does desperately need something positive to happen, doesn't he? And Tracy, if you've ever played at any level, I mean, you found yourself in a position of helplessness. Right now, Steve Munro is playing so well. Alec really hasn't had a lot to say. In fact, he did tell us that he didn't feel like he had done a lot wrong. Now, with a bit of a playing background, can you relate to that?
I can certainly. Definitely, from a playing point of view, unfortunately, if your opponent has got the upper hand, that's the way the balls roll. I think Steve is possibly playing a slightly different game to what Alec is playing at the moment, but at the moment Alec looks like he's on a good roll and he's possibly trying to fight back.
I know that Lisa Quick, our studio guest, felt that ALEC was still going to have a lot of say in the final outcome here. His fighting qualities have been apparent throughout the years in team play. We haven't seen a lot of ALEC in singles play. But this looks like a solid visit that he wants to take to the finish line.
Just got to steer the cue ball now back towards the 8 ball. Want to pot that in the bottom left-hand corner. You see him digging deep on the cue ball. He'd like to come back another couple of inches. He hasn't got to do anything with the cue ball here. Just roll this down the cushion. And does ALEC ever need this ball to go in?
And that's a much more confident ALEC Evreniadis. He stopped the rock. 7-3 the scoreline. The only problem for ALEC Evreniadis is I believe Steve Munro is going to be breaking off, even though Evreniadis was the first one out of his chair.
11th frame, Steve Munro to break.
7-3 is still a daunting task, isn't it, to try and come back from.
Munro gives it the sledgehammer again, but look at the cue ball, he's lost it. I'll tell you what, ALEC can clear these up.
One visit.
Might have a different ball game.
Time running.
Another look at it. That cue ball straight into the corner pocket. And I think the spin that was on the white helped it to dive.
Right, it's looking at the yellow balls at the moment. One thing I prefer the reds is the 3 yellows in the middle of the table.
30
How
seconds.
they all go, but it's that red that's near that little pack of 3 with
Yellow
there's
balls
a little
in play.
problem.
If ALEC can secure the victory here, Tracy, knowing that he's breaking in the next to get to 7-5, I've got a feeling the pressure goes right back onto Steve Munro's shoulders.
I tend to agree with you, Jim. I think that ALEC's going to have the upper hand, especially breaking in the next frame, and he seems to have found his break. I think he's going to come back, and he's, as I said before, he's definitely coming back fighting. I tend to agree with Lisa as well.
Well, ALEC, just looking now at this yellow. He's got to play the yellow in the bottom right-hand corner, but he's just choosing if he wants to roll down for the yellow at the bottom of the table or try and negotiate these
30 seconds.
the little cluster in the middle of the table. And it looks like he's coming back for the yellows in the centre of the table.
Very noticeable too, Tony, that he's starting to strike the ball with a lot more authority, and they're going in clean.
Lovely shot there from ALEC. They nickname him the Ace from Australia, and he's looking at the moment like he might have a few trump cards up his sleeve. Still not entirely happy, but when you're a long way behind, doubt can just creep in from nowhere. You know, if you're 7-3 up, you're probably knocking his finish with your eyes shut, Jim, wouldn't you?
Would you think you were sat beside Chris Melling all of a sudden?
Actually, that's a very good point.
Just wants to leave an angle on this last yellow. And he's done that. This is a different looking ALEC Evreniadis out there. I think he's realized that seizing the moment can only be in his best interest. 8 down, and Ace has pulled another one back again, 7-4, and he will be breaking in frame number 12. I know one thing. Steve Munro's towel's getting a good workout on those sweaty palms.
Open table.
And he's going to have to ring it soon. Another look at the break-off. Nothing down for Evreniadis. Munro in with his first look. He hasn't really had much to say in the last two frames, both going the way of Evreniadis.
30 seconds.
But he's still enjoying a comfortable 7-4 lead. It looks like he's starting to beg a little bit, Tony.
Well, there's a lot of body movement in there. He's sort of trying to jerk his knees towards the middle pocket there. If you just watch his legs as he plays this shot, the red in the middle, just watch that. Now, that is a sign of somebody who ain't confident, Jim. He's starting to doubt himself. He's playing a negative shot here. I think he's just playing to cover the pocket. Well, no, he's gone for the pot, and that's a great shot from Steve Munro. Seen it once or twice where he's had an opportunity to take the ball by the horns and he started to cover pockets for no apparent reason. I thought he was going to do it again, but like you said earlier, though, when he gets in front a long way, he clams up, but when he starts having a few frames, you know, chucked back at him, he suddenly decides to attack again, doesn't he?
He's got some character, no doubt about that. He fights fire with fire. It's so important. I know I've talked about it in the past, Tony, to send those messages to your opposition. There's a lot of psychological warfare that goes on at a pool table.
Just any problem ball on the table for Steve Munro. It's on the top right-hand side of the table. I think he might have an angle here. Red in the centre of the table into the top right-hand corner. He can maybe come across towards his trouble ball.
Well, if he takes this red down the cushion now, he's certain to land on the last, and that 8 is available bottom right. Big shot, this one. Now he's just got to clear those yellows, Tony.
So if he's going to run the cue ball through into the side round and try and play a lot of check side on the white, which will be right-hand side to try and square the angle and come back for the 8 ball. As you can see, he's putting the top and right-hand side on.
Yes, and contacting that yellow would be disastrous. So if he does try and check that cue ball, it makes the pot missable.
Tell you what, he's got away with that. No way in the world he's played to be over there.
I think he thought he was going to hit that yellow almost full, and he wanted to come through it. Big shot. He knows Evreniadis has come back at him.
I'll tell you what, if he does one of those little leg dances we saw at the start of this frame, he won't be potting his black.
Seconds.
This could be the shot of the match for Munro. You can hear a pin drop in that audience. The 8 deposited, and he passed the test of character with flying colors, and look at him. Very pleased with himself. 8-4 in front of Evreniadis, and wants one more frame to book a date with Chris Melling. And Munro will be breaking to try and plant ALEC Evreniadis in his chair one more time. 8-4, frame 13 calls. So does the corner pocket for the white. Second time he's done that.
1 visit, open table. Time running.
Great split as well by Steve Munro. Screwed straight back into the corner. Clean as a whistle. happy with it. And why would he be? It's a great split, and he's just left the table clear for ALEC. It looks like he's going to opt for the reds.
.30 seconds.
Every ball now for ALEC Evreniadis could be his last.
Yes, he's under the magnifying glass now, Tony. 8-4 he trails. And no more room for error.
Trying to bid to break the Dutch, no Australian. Predominant pool player. He's made the semi-finals. The only one who's actually won the world title was pretty much a snooker player, which is Quinton Ham. Quinton's pretty much the best all-rounder in the game.
Trying to get yourself out of jail there, Tony.
Big time, Jim.
Forgot Quinton was from Australia. Well, he is certainly noted for being a snooker player, but what a cue sportsman he is. I'd like to have been straighter on this red, so he's had to slow roll it, and now it's going to be a thin clip, and he's overhit that.
He could have hit that a lot softer, couldn't he? I don't fancy this shot, Jim, I'm afraid.
Well, either way, Tony, it's either in or over the pocket. That cue ball is going to be bounding off that side cushion.
Yeah, but the pace is going to be playing it. It could, if you catch the rail halfway down, it could hit the knuckle and cover the bang.
Look at the 8. Steve Munro offers his hand. Obviously, he has just won the match. That 8 going in. Evreniadis has gone down to defeat 9-4 Steve Munro, and what a way for this match to finish.
What an incredible end to what has been a tremendous match. Munro is through to the semi-finals, the dream ends for Evreniadis. Let's just take a look at the semi-final lineup. 4 of the very best players in the world. The top half of the draw, we've got the reigning world champion Jason Twist against the number 4 seed Phil Harrison, and the bottom half of the draw, the magician Chris Mellin against Steve Munro. Lisa, a sad way for the match to end?
Yeah, it is a sad way for it to finish. I think, to be honest, I think Steve would have cleared up from there anyway, but, you know, it's not a nice finish.
Let's just take another look at how the match finished. Steve going for the red.
Yeah, ALEC was a bit unlucky. I mean, you don't expect to pop the black from there. I mean, it is unlucky, but where the red's finished, I think he'd have lost the frame anyway.
Do you think, on reflection, a fair scoreline this evening?
I think so. I think Steve just, when the pressure came on, he seemed to handle it really well. I think he's set up for a really good semi-final, actually, against Chris. I think it'll be a cracking semi-final.
It's been another great match. This tournament just keeps on getting better and better. Thanks for watching from all of us here in Blackpool. Until next time, goodbye.